President Joe Biden calls 1 million COVID deaths a tragic milestone, now more than 2 years into the pandemic. News 8's Nina Burns spoke with a funeral director about months of loss and grief.
Thanks, Denise. On April 7th of 2020, the Rock Island County Health Department reported the county's first COVID-19 death. Since then, the health department reports an additional 491 COVID deaths in the county. I spoke to the president of a local funeral home who tells us how the pandemic has impacted not only the number of funerals they've had, but the way they were conducted.
Rafferty Funeral Homes using a drive-through format for Rock Island County's first COVID-19 death.
There were drive-through funerals at the very beginning because we didn't really know what we were dealing with.
President of the funeral home, Kevin Rafferty, says the last 2 years have been some of the most difficult years for the funeral home industry.
The COVID pandemic is really the first pandemic in my lifetime that we as funeral directors have had to deal with.
Forcing Rafferty to think outside of the box.
Families were limited to the number of people that could come at one time. So we may have certain sections of families come, and as they left, then another section would come in. Some of the churches were limited.
Feeling like many families who were unable to have a traditional funeral, left feeling empty.
It certainly wasn't as it should be and as people wanted. I think some people didn't have the closure that they probably wish they could have. And that's what we are here for, to offer that to them. So we almost felt like our hands were tied because they need that, but with the restrictions, we just did the best we could.
The Moline-based funeral home held 10 funerals for COVID-related deaths in 2020 and 16 in 2021.
And we've had 5 to this point this year.
Rafferty says funerals have reverted back to their traditional services since COVID-19 spikes decreased and Illinois lifted mandates. Churches are back open and families can once again gather together for services. But Rafferty fears that the pandemic is far from over, and when the cold weather returns, we'll once again see spikes in infection rates. Back to you, Denise.
Now, the highest number of deaths in a single day in Rock Island County was back in January 2021, when 8 deaths were reported in one day.